Good morning and welcome to another high value conversation. This morning, I'm going to have on my great friend, Chad Luca, who is the Director of Sponsorship Sales at Twitch and Amazon Properties. I'm going to go ahead and invite Chad in right now, and then we're going to get started talking about networking and building relationships. I'm really excited to have Chad on this morning. We're live on location at an event I'm participating in this morning. So can't wait to just have this conversation with him and bring, some new information about networking, relationship building, high level sales. I think it's going to be a great conversation to be able to dive into some of the deeper details that go into, just being in a professional environment, whether you're an entrepreneur or someone who's just moving their climbing up the corporate ladder. I think Chad is going to bring a great, insightful, deeper level of knowledge and experience to this conversation. So I'm really excited to dive into some of the questions that I have for him this morning, especially when it comes to just, the background, the details that go into making successful business relationships. Let's see, we're trying to get Chad on now. Hey, Chad, how you doing, sir?
How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Welcome in, welcome on. Pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to have you on this morning. The Director of Sponsorship Sales at Twitch and Amazon Properties. Man, I just know you're going to bring such a deep level of knowledge and experience. And most people would know that me and you have been in a book together, Journeys to Success, Millennials Edition. We are best-selling authors. That is actually how we met.
That is true. These are all facts.
And you've been a big supporter of Read Me or Stay Broke. I mean, one of my most touching moments was, everyone knows I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. You actually took a guy you were mentoring, I think, and my book, and went to the Staples Center and sent me a picture holding Read Me or Stay Broke at the Staples Center.
Yeah, I definitely. So a good friend of mine, Rashad, I definitely don't mentor him. He's actually kind of one of my counsel that you kind of talk about building a team. He's definitely somebody that I look up to, and we're peers, and we kind of chat through things with each other, and so we went to the game, and it was cool to have that there. Take the picture with the Kobe jersey, but. No, it's been so great being able to stay in contact. Like, we're coming up on, almost like 10 years since we did the book together. And so it's good to be reconnected and stay in each other's lives and cheer each other on. That stuff's really important.
I think it's a great testimony to building relationships and reaching out and being consistent, So let me ask you this as we dive right into it. I want to ask you, as you've risen in your success, what advice would you give to your younger self navigating the professional world?
I think the first thing is be patient. I'm not a very patient person, so I think being patient is really important, because you have to be open to learning, and that takes time. And I think when you have a team of mentors that you can tap into, that can help you learn, that you're just reading things, whether it's articles or books or whatever it is, just being open to learning, going through trial and error. So we talked about this, on a call previously, but, not being afraid to fail, I think is really important. I think it's tough because it's such a hit to your ego, but the more times that you're failing, you're learning and you're extracting knowledge that you can synthesize into, skills and knowledge in your future job and endeavors. And so I think that's what I would have told myself earlier is just to know that, to where, those things become part of your growth mindset. I think we talked about this before also, developing empathy. So just really understanding where other people are coming from, and understanding how your actions impact them. And so before you're making decisions, or before you are saying certain things, understanding how your actions and what you do impact other people, but also how, what's going on in their life, and how they might have situations going on that you might not be aware of. And, whether what they're going through or not, just everybody's going through something. And so, having empathy and understanding that it's not personal if, I remember back when I was at the Yankees and I was making 100 cold calls a day, in 5 ticket sales. And, you'd have people hang up on you, but it's like, you don't know what's going on in their life and you can't take it personally. You have to be able to be resilient and move on. And so I think that's important. But I think, for me, I'm a pretty authentic person. I think that, that word gets thrown around a lot. I like to stay true to myself. But I think one thing that I would have told myself earlier on is staying true to myself and be authentic, but learning how to do it in a way that navigates the politics of a professional world. So there's a balance.
Okay, so let's talk about that first. Let's
Yeah.
dive into that. Let's talk about how you rose to the position that you're in. I know you talked a little bit about the Yankees. I know you talked about, you're starting out. How did you arrive, where you are now? Like, what was your journey?
The journey to success. Again, it's the culmination of the experiences. And so you can't really plot out the path that you're going to go on in your career. So I wanted to get sales experience. I had done internships. I wanted to work in marketing and sponsorships, but I needed to be able to prove myself to, have the skills and experience of being able to sell and being able to pitch things and being able to handle rejection and being able to navigate those objections to sell. And so I think it's like I went through that at the Yankees. I grinded out. I was making $9 an hour plus commissions and bonuses and living in New York City. And so it's like you had to be hungry to succeed. And so I was successful there because of a relationship that I had with a person I went to college with. They recommended me for a position at IMG, doing sponsorship sales for the St. John's and Big East properties. And so, that it was, more of like a junior type role because it was a smaller property, but it was like, it was the bottom of the market in New York City. And so it was like you were selling something that was going up against the Yankees and, the Rangers and the Knicks and the Giants, like, you're the bottom of that. And so you have to be really good at, being able to convey value to people, being able to, make a really strong argument and being able to show how your platform, your product can help, people achieve their business goals and provide value. You can't just rely on how good your team is. And so I think that was really important for me to go through that and really learn, how to put together really compelling, sponsorships and marketing programs for people to deliver on, their business goals versus just, again, relying on the success of a sports team. So I did that. And then, I went to a kind of data analytics company that did audience research and audience panels. And so I was learning all about, market research and, understanding how businesses, leagues, teams are using the data and feedback from their fan bases to power their decisions. And so one of my clients was the Atlanta Falcons, and they actually used our audience panel to make business decisions around like concession prices. So they tested out a hypothesis that like if they lowered their concession prices, would that actually lead to more sales from people going there? And so they tested out, and they actually grew their revenue like exponentially year over year as a result of lowering the concession prices because people ended up buying more. So it's just, but they garnered that insight from the audience panel. And so, so I learned about audience panels, but it wasn't really the industry I wanted to be in. So started doing networking and, through relationships, went over to an advertising agency, Publicis, which is one of the, bigger advertising agencies in the world. And it went there to do, kind of consulting, strategic partnership development and, data analytics for, for different brands that were looking to do sponsorship. So it was really like the data analytics, evaluating, negotiating partnerships, learning all about that side. Because I had sold stuff, but then it was like, how do you measure and how do you prove out success and how do you help negotiate for your clients? So it's like I learned from the client side. This is all the things that go into them being able to determine whether something is impactful or valuable. And then from there, I started to look a lot into the gaming and esports space. It was starting, to become more mainstream within society and pop culture. And so I kind of just raised my hand to run with gaming and esports there and kind of created this whole practice which is now, a huge part of what they're doing within, digital advertising. And so I worked a lot with Twitch, and, the partners and the people that I worked with over there, we were doing so many deals together. They were just like, why don't you just come over to Twitch and why don't you just work for us and get paid to do these deals that you're, negotiating. And so, I went over there and I left in 2019. So I've been at Twitch, ever since then, as a part of Amazon. And so again, the things that, are my strengths in what I do now, are all from the different stops that I made along the way.
Right.
Like the ability to, like, have resilience and, do stuff within cold calls from, the Yankees, to figuring out how to develop really strong partnerships that are multifaceted, multi-channel, multi-platform.
Yep.
And then, the data analytics pieces, so that I'm a contextually looking into data and like telling a story with it, rather than just presenting data. It's like, this is the data, but this is what it means, and this is how it proves out success. So again, all of those different experiences help me have these different areas that are differentiated from, other people that are in the space. And so, but it's like, I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't gone through the experiences of all the other jobs that I went through. So the biggest thing, especially for people who are trying to, start their careers, is really just like, there's no wrong decision. The only wrong decision is if you're not learning and extracting the knowledge to then apply it to whatever you do from there. So whatever experience you have, it's about being able to take that extracted and use it, and develop your knowledge base to then be able to add value at the next place. And I think, the other thing when people are trying to apply for jobs, especially earlier in their career, is, they're just applying and they're like, why am I not getting this or that? And it's like, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to show the company how you're bringing value to the table compared to everybody else. Like, what's the unique, set of skills, experience, knowledge that you have that's different from everybody else, that's going to bring value to them, that's going to help differentiate them from, from their competitors too. So I think, all those things I wish I had known before, but it's like, I only learned them from going through all the experiences that I went through.
I think, you make a great point about the combination of skills as you accumulate them. I think some people might say, oh, well, you didn't keep this job or you didn't keep that job. And it's like, no, each thing I took from each one, moving on to the next one, has you where you are now, almost with an accumulation of superpowers that from those different experiences and those different insights that you had got you to where you are. That's a very impressive journey there, my friend. So let me ask you this. As you were going through, how important was relationship building and networking? I know you said your Yankee job kind of was a, relationship based starting position. And then the guys that you knew, you said you were at, doing some stuff with Twitch, and they were like, man, come on over and join us, right? So how important was the networking and relationship building, you feel, in what you were able to accomplish?
I think it's just, it needs to be like authentic and organic in terms of like you develop friendships with people based on things that you have in common, naturally, or, somebody does something that you admire and you want to learn more about it, and you're just intellectually curious. I think those like true authentic connections with people are what make the best networkers. It's not disingenuous, like, trying to have ulterior motives. It's like, I admire this person and I want to learn from them, or there's something that we can mutually benefit from working together. I think those are the best. That's the best networking, is like, somebody you genuinely respect and you want to help them out because, you like them and you want them to do well, and, you genuinely want the best for them and they to you as well. And so I think in terms of like the art of networking, relationship building, we were talking about the mnemonic device of Rapper. So resourcefulness, like, you need to be resourceful and be able to know how you can connect different people, like someone's strengths and experience and how that can match up with somebody else and why they should be connected. Like, that's great networking. Authenticity, staying true to yourself, never going against, who you are and compromising your integrity, but like, being open and vulnerable and being able to be yourself, and, that resonates with people. Being proactive, so not letting things fall through the cracks, but like taking something, running with it, and showing people that you're going to actually follow up on what you say, like do as you say you're going to do. Having a positive attitude, to just, people gravitate towards people who are positive because, it uplifts them. And so being genuinely positive, not disingenuous. Like there's a lot of people who are fake positive and like, it's
Right?
all, but it's like you have to really have a mindset of like the glass really is half full. And it's like you just learn to not necessarily even convince yourself, but you believe it. It's like, I have a glass that still has half of it left. Like instead of like half is gone, it's like, well, there's still half left that I can. So it's like you have to develop that mindset. And then, empathy, just understanding what people are going through and understanding how your actions and words and stuff can impact people and just trying to see things from their point of view. Even if you have certain goals or things that you want, sometimes you have to meet halfway with things because, there are certain implications that happen to people. And so you have to understand how those impact people. And being resilient, being intellectually curious, being able to run with things after, you get knocked down and just not letting it get to you. So it's, those are the marks of people who are really good at relationship building is going through all of those different things to help them, improve their own network, but also, other people's network as well and kind of grow that web.
I love how you condense that together. So the art of networking and relationship building can be summed up with rapper.
Yep.
With resources,
Yep.
authenticity, proactivity, being positive, and you said
Empathy. Yep.
with some empathy, understanding, seeing where they're coming from, and then being resilient, right? I think that is amazing to be able to put that together like that, to keep the nuggets and the core principles of what are able to help you to build great relationships. I really think that when you say that authenticity and that empathy, I heard you mention those in your answers earlier before you got to the rapper, saying that, being authentic, being genuine, not being false positive, and kind of seeing where the other person is coming from, that those, you want to have that in what you're doing, not being fake. And I think, like you said, nowadays, those relationships, people kind of go into them one-sided. So let me ask you, in being empathetic and being authentic, how do you start conversations to build your networking relationship with people that you don't know when you are coming from a genuine place and you want to add value, but you don't know how to kind of break the ice with that person?
You have to do your research. I'm a big researcher. My wife, kind of laughs sometimes just at the amount of research that I do about the most random things. But, for me, when I'm reaching out to whether it's a prospect and I'm talking to them, I do my research before and I have contextually relevant points that I'm talking about that relate to like the purpose of why I'm reaching out to somebody. I always try to have a purpose of reaching out to somebody, and I always try to have be intentional about the reasons and show what I'm doing and being transparent in terms of what my goals are. And so, reaching out to a client and talking about, hey, I noticed that you did XYZ. I really admire it for these reasons. Here are some of the things that, I'm thinking about, like, let's chat. And I mean, it's not going to work every time, but it's like, those are the things that people want to see. It's like, you pay attention, you're being thoughtful about your reach out, you are very transparent about why you're reaching out, and you're showing that you can actually add value to them in terms of, what their goals are. I mean, who doesn't want to talk to people when they're providing all of that for them, right?
Like you said, adding value, but you got to know, like you're saying, do the research and then be able to show where you can add value and then come from a real place with it. I like how you put that. I like that. That's, you have to be able to put in the effort beforehand. You can't just walk up to somebody and say, I want an opportunity, right? Just say, here's how I can, better enhance what you have going on, and let a person see the benefit in you. I like how you, so let me ask you this. How would I handle the rejection? All right, I think some people, you talked about failure earlier, like in your origin story, being able to handle failure, or people being able to take rejection and keep going. In even business or networking or relationship building, how do you suggest people handle rejection?
Yeah, it's all about how you, I guess, view it, right? I think if you view it as a personal attack on yourself, then you're never going to be able to get through it. But
Right.
some of the different ways that you approach rejection is like reframing it and using it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Like, what happened? How do you take that and apply it towards next time, to where you can modify things to understand, if I had done these things differently, I probably would have had more success. So it's like, it's trial and error. It's going through that, and it's learning like what works and what doesn't. And it's not about, you're a terrible person or you're bad at what you do. It's like, what you did this time didn't work. So like, try something different, or like modify it and see if that changes. I think another thing, like, working at Amazon, customer obsession is the number one thing here. And so I think you really have to be looking out for, your customer and your client first. And you really need to have them first and not what your priority is or what, your own personal needs or priorities are. Like, it needs to be, I'm trying to do what's best for my client. And when you do that, and when you look at like, how can you reframe it towards, your customer, you're going to have more success because you're looking out for their best interest. And ideally those things align. Ideally what you are doing is what's in the best interest for your client, your customer. We have this saying back at the Yankees, on to the next one. It was like, Jay-Z, on to the next one. Like, it was like, this happened, shake it off, on to the next one. Put the phone down, pick it back up, next call, fresh, clean slate, you move on. Being open to feedback is really important. So being able to truly listen when people are giving you advice, and even if it hurts because you're just like, I don't know if I agree with that, just like listen and just listen to what they have to say and take what you want from it, and take what you feel like you can use. And if there's some things that you don't feel like are accurate, that's okay, but just hear people out when they're giving you feedback and being open to it. For me, I definitely use rejection as like motivation, like igniting my fire. If I get a rejection or something doesn't happen, like it gives me the hunger to like want to, the next one I'm going to get.
Yeah, sure.
And I just have that. So it's having a growth mindset. It's having a mindset of being able to take what didn't work out and reconfigure it into something that will work next time and learn from it.
I think that this is a great topic because being able, like you said, want to reframe the situation, but also to, like you said, let it motivate you, give you drive and determination, and also not being, discouraged, being able to double down and want to go harder. Do you think that's a skill that's kind of lacking today or not being taught?
Yeah, I think that, the best people in sales, are the people that see things from other people's point of view. And I think it comes down to listening. You have to listen to what people are saying, and listening when they give you feedback about, if there's something that they didn't like about, what you were kind of pitching to them, like listen to that and don't just kind of dismiss it. Tailor your solutions to what is important to them and what's going to help them, do what they need to do better. Address like any concerns that they have, building trust through the relationships and support, and showing how you're going to provide value. And so if you're doing those things, you're going to have success because you're prioritizing what your customer wants.
So what do you say to somebody right now that is still scared to take that first step? Like, they know that they have to go through failure, they know that they might have to face rejection, but they want something that's on the other side of that potential failure, but that fear is still there. What is the thing you can tell them to make them realize that it's going to be okay and you should take that step?
Yeah, success is earned. Things are earned, and you have to go through failures and stuff in order to have it mean that much more. And I think if you don't go through those things, it's not going to mean as much. If there are things where, I've done certain deals that have fallen through, but like when a deal does come together, especially with a client that I've tried over and over and over again on, it's that much more gratifying that works out, because I know how much it took in order to get there. And so I think that for people who want like the easy, quick fix, like, that's not my personal approach. I want to go through the challenges and the failures, because it makes me that much stronger to be able to handle things in the next situation. And I wouldn't have extracted those experiences and knowledge if I hadn't gone through those failures. And so it's just like, you have to be okay with it, and it sucks and it hurts, but you have to be able to be resilient with, through those experiences, and being able to take what you learned and then apply it next time. And again, it'll get you closer to that. If you just give up because it was too hard and because you failed or didn't work out, then you're just not going to get to where you need to be. Like there's no like easy path. There's no like cutting the line. Like you just have to go through the experiences to learn in order to apply it moving forward.
Definitely. I think I read a book one time, and the guy said that the expert is not the person that knows how to do everything right. The expert is the person that knows the corrections to all the things that go wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's where the confidence comes from. You're able to move with so much certainty because if something does go wrong, then you'll fix it, or you'll make the adjustment. I think a lot of people want everything to work out so good that first time and be, no failure, no problems. But what do you learn, right? Next time when something does go, you really don't build confidence, right? You might have had the success or you might have had the thing go right, but you're still going to have that underlying fear of next time, will something go wrong? When real, self-belief and confidence and certainty come from, well, if this does go wrong, then I either know who to call or I know what I'm supposed to do to make the adjustment to fix it, So I think only, like you said, experience and failure can teach you that. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, I was going to say, learning rejection really isn't the anticipation of rejection is way worse than the actual rejection.
Say that again, huh?
Which is just funny because you're so concerned about it, whether it's in business or dating or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The fear of it is way worse than, when it actually happens. You're like, okay, that wasn't that bad. I move on to the next thing, or I move on. And so I think, the anticipation of it is so challenging, but when something doesn't work out, in terms of sales and something doesn't go through and you were so close and it didn't work out, you get over it and you move on to the next thing. Like there's the next opportunity that's going to work out. And so you just have to have that mindset of like learning from that. And then the next time apply what you learned and, you'll have a different result.
So any books or podcasts or, what resources have you used to kind of sharpen your skills along with experience?
Yeah, I mean, just reading a lot of articles about stuff. I think that's been helpful. The Challenger sale, that was really impactful for me. That book, just being able to be really consultative and, learn that it's not about the person who is just building relationships with their clients. It's about people who are able to teach their clients something new and educate them on their business and how what they're doing currently is not working and what they can be doing to show new ways of thinking and being able to tailor an approach and being able to understand their needs and being able to understand how you can customize that to each person. And it's not one size fits all. So figuring out what you have and how you can adapt it to people, being able to kind of take control and being able to collaborate. And so knowing when you really need to put your foot down about something and just be like, I believe in this. And then also being able to understand what are you willing to die on the hill for and, what's worth kind of meeting people halfway. And so I think that's all part of being a challenger seller because you really show that you've done the research, that you understand somebody's business and that you have their best interests. So much so that you don't necessarily just tell them what they want to hear. A lot of times, some different clients want you to tell them what they want to hear, but the best sellers tell people what they need to hear and tell people what's actually going to benefit them, even if it's tough to hear. And so that's what I've kind of learned is like how to do that in a tactful way. And so I think the Challenger sale was important for me because it was like, it's not just about being a bull in a china closet and being aggressive. It's about like, I care about your business and here's what I think is not working. Here's what I think will work. Here's why it's going to work. Here's all the reasons and all the data points that are suggesting that, this is going to work out. And just like being really firm and confident in that and showing that you have their best interests at heart. So that was really important for me to kind of understand the balance there.
Now, I heard you say the challenger sale, but I also heard you say challenger selling. Now, I think I heard you say consultative selling. So what's the difference between the two? So you said consultative selling and challenger selling.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to have a little bit of both. Consultative is just like you're doing your analysis and you're figuring out what their needs are and you're figuring out the solution. But like challenger sale is really pushing people outside their comfort zone because that will get them to where they need to be to see more success. But again, doing it in a way that's respectful and tactful and and earning the trust of the customer. I think that's really important to kind of demonstrate that you have people's best interests at heart is being able to earn their trust by just building that relationship over time, demonstrating that you've done your research, that you understand their business, and you see the plan of how you're going to get that client to where they need to be. And so that's really the difference between, you know, kind of a relationship builder seller who, yeah, they do pretty well, but the best sellers are ones who really get their customers outside of their comfort zone.
I like how you put that too, because I think utilizing that kind of approach takes away some of the fear of the rejection, right? You're prepared, you know what you're going to say, you know how you want to say it, and you know you're going to be a benefit. So you're coming from a more confident place, and you're getting ready not only to paint the positive picture in your customer's mind, but you're already painting a positive picture in your mind, because that preparation continues to show you how you're going to go about it, instead of just like, hey, I want to do business, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I will never get down on myself on, you know, a failed sale if I know that I did every single thing I possibly could to try to make it happen. So if I did every single thing that I could, if I prepared, if I put together the best pitch based on what they told me was important to them, if I had the best solutions, if I did everything that I could, and I was able to negotiate certain things and, you know, pull strings and like do all of that. If I did all of those things and like I left no stone unturned, I'll never be upset about losing a deal, because I know that I did everything that, you know, I control what I can control, and that's all that you can do. And so if I lose out to somebody because of whatever reason, you know, another company, I can't be upset about that. It stings a little bit, but it's like there's nothing else I could have done, and I'm okay with that as long as I know that I did my best. You know, the same thing in sports. If you went out there and you left everything on the line, everything on the court, everything on the field, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, there's nothing else that I could have done differently, and like it just unfortunately didn't work out. That's just the best feeling in failure, is knowing that you did everything that you could to put yourself yourself and your team and your company in the best position to be successful.
100%, man. So tell us some exciting things that are going on with Twitch, the gaming space, and, you know, because I have some teenage sons, and it's pretty much in their free time, that's where they are. So I've seen this become such a big thing, from just us playing video games recreationally as kids to people being able to play online, teaming up, relationship building, connecting with people across the world, competitions, money, YouTube channels, like Twitch, live streaming. Like, man, it's so cool to see the evolution of what just used to be maybe a Game Boy.
Yeah.
Turned into esports and real leagues and stuff. So please, what's going on in that space?
I think the biggest thing for us is that there's a couple things. There's, you know, the fact that everything is live.
Yeah.
I think this generation of consumers and of fans of things, they crave things that are live because it's raw, it's unfiltered, it's authentic, and you really get to be a part of the moment. Like, you're creating culture together with people.
I like how you put that.
And so I think like it's ephemeral. It's like you are part of something, and you were there when it happened, and there's no being a part of a moment when you're watching something that's like completely edited and filtered and everything. So yeah. I think, like, you know, millennials and Gen Z just crave, you know, raw, authentic, you know, vulnerable type of content. And so that's really what Twitch is. It's people at their most real, like, you know, there's no filters and there's no editing and there's no, you know, and there's none of that. It's people being their real authentic selves, and it resonates with a lot of people. And so, you know, during the lockdowns, you know, back in 2020 and 2021, like, you know, people came to Twitch because they wanted community and they wanted a place where they could be together with like-minded people in the moment. And so that's really what's kind of, you know, helped accelerate the growth of Twitch is being able to do that. And then, you know, from our standpoint, being able to foster a more inclusive environment for people of, you know, of different backgrounds, different underrepresented groups, being able to remove barriers to entry for people that, you know, come from underrepresented backgrounds. And so that's really important to us, is like, you know, creating a space that mirrors, you know, where the culture is, and being able to help different people to onboard on Twitch and be able to have success and be able to foster communities here. So I'm really excited about all those things, like being able to help creating more career pipelines for underrepresented groups in the space. I think that's something that I work a lot on, you know, as a part of what I do is being able to do things through, you know, our partners at Community, who are 501c3 in Atlanta, that focus on gaming esports career development and pipelines for underrepresented youth. And so being able to go to HBCUs and being able to give them the experiential learning of the gaming esports space and help them get software engineer jobs or internships or fellowships and working in the space so that it's more representative of diverse voices and experiences. And so that's really important to me, and I know that it's important to Twitch. And so I think that's a really big focus right now and over the next few years is figuring out how do we do that, because Twitch is a little different than like TikTok and Instagram. It requires a lot more technology. There's a lot of understanding in terms of like how live streams work on Twitch and how all the different levers and tools that you're using work in order to do a live stream and like create a really cool experience for your community. So we're trying to educate people, and we're trying to remove the barriers to entry so that we have different people from different backgrounds be able to come onto Twitch and create really cool content that invites in different communities that weren't there before.
I think it's going to be so cool watching how you guys integrate like more VR, augmented reality, like these metaverse, like when it gets more kind of even more in the game. It gets more and more in the game. And then also the ways you're going to have to try and combat people using AI to just crank up their scores and have just channels running that's not real.
Yeah, I mean, there's performance enhancement and lots of different things. So it's like you got to figure out how to regulate some of those things. So I think that there's going to be a lot of correction, and there's going to be some regulations in terms of being able to prevent people from botting and from using AI to cheat and stuff like that. So any space needs to be able to do that. But what I think is really cool about esports is like it's continuing to grow, and it's continuing to be an entertainment space that the younger generations are watching more of than some traditional sports. And it's because they're digital natives, and they grew up with devices, or a majority of their lives they were on devices, and that's the type of entertainment that they're looking for, especially if they are gamers and they want to see content about gaming. Like that it's just different than the older generations. It's different interest groups, and they're spending less and less time on linear television watching that type of content, because the content that they crave and the creators that they like are on they're on Twitch, or they're on TikTok, or they're on Instagram, or they're on YouTube. Like they're on these different digital channels that the experience is different. People want to be a part of the entertainment and affect what they're watching rather than just sit back and passively viewing. And so for us, we're all about how do we bring our audience and our community into everything that we do in terms of content, and how do we have it be participatory and not just like a one-way passive experience? How do we help people actually affect what they're watching and feel like they're a part of the experience? So whether it is VR or AR, or whether it's really just like you being able to collaborate with other people and affect the content that you're watching, like I mean that's just what people want to experience and be entertained by, is stuff that they feel like they can actually have a hand in creating and affecting.
I think it's cool too, because you can get a response from your favorite person. I mean, you can't really get a response watching a basketball game or something like that from your superstar. But as the chat's going on your video game, the kid can really talk to somebody who they aspire to. Go ahead. Were you about to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, like it fosters, like we talk about community, but like people have this connection to the streamers and creators that they follow, because they feel they feel close to them, they feel a part of that, and then the other people within the community, they start to connect with each other and recognize things that they say or memes that they do in the chat, and like that's a micro community within this community, and people become friends and develop relationships and friendships from being a part of that overall creators community. And like that just doesn't exist anywhere else. Like people being a part of live experiences together on Twitch when they're experiencing content together, it doesn't exist anywhere else. And like the community that's built on Twitch is just unmatched because of the stuff happening in a moment with people experiencing together and being able to react to each other about what's going on, and seeing the personalities of people like in the moment. Like that's how you really get to know people. And so I mean I've heard so many stories of people that whether they've become friends because they're moderators together and chat together, or people that met and got married because of that. Like it's really like, again, it's a new way of people and how they're connecting with each other. I know people that you see a lot of the things, being posted online now where you see guys who like, were on Xbox together for 10 years and they finally met in person. Like that's happening more and more of like
That's so cool.
digital playgrounds where people are meeting and getting to know each other and having fun. And then like actually having that come out in real life. But some of those people know more about that person than even some of their closest, like in real life friends, because of the conversations they have and because of how vulnerable they are, in those environments. So I think it's really cool what we're able to do, like to again create communities from live experiences.
I think it's amazing because, like you said, the way things are evolving, like this is real. Like we have to get out this mindset of that not being something that's real. That like video games or being online is somehow not as real life. The digital products and video gaming and live video gaming and being on headsets and talking and relationship building through that medium is a real thing, especially for the youth. Like I thought it was so cool during the pandemic that my kids were able to still be and do and accomplish things with their friends, even though they couldn't go to school every day as if they were at school because they could get on the game.
Yeah.
I also think it's great that you guys have that video games have essentially made something that you thought would never be real, which is, being a professional gamer. If you can't stay on that game all day, you'll never get anywhere, and now you got leagues, someone can go pro in their real, their basketball game or join a league, earn money,
Yeah. I mean, I think what's really cool about it is, there's definitely people that go pro playing games, but I think there's a whole industry that's been created for people that are passionate about video games and gaming. And so even if you're not a professional gamer, you can work in game design, you can work in software engineering, you can work in graphics.
Oh, it's such a good point.
There's so many jobs for people to leverage their passions.
That's a good point.
And then actually apply it to something. So for me, like when I was looking to work in sports, I was passionate about sports. And so when I was looking to go to college, I was looking at like, what are majors that can leverage like my passion of sports, but like I'm not going to play in college or the NBA. So like, what can I do? And so I started looking into, sports marketing and sport management. So it was like, how do I leverage something that I'm passionate about, but do it in something that actually has a career that, I can be, financially well off. And so I think it's important for people to like look at, what are passions, but then like, what are realistic jobs? And I think in the gaming esports space, it's really cool for people to learn about all the things, all the career paths that they can do that are leveraging things that they're passionate about.
And I just appreciate you being on today, dropping these gems, giving us this insight, taking us into a whole different world, man. I just really appreciate you. So what are some gems you want to leave everybody with as we get ready to wrap up? What do you really want to just let them make sure you take away with them?
Yeah, I mean, if there was like a word count on here in terms of number of times we said these different words, like empathy is really important. I think just like really understanding other people's perspectives and like, being able to meld and mold together, your goals and what you're trying to do with, things that are important to other people and understanding how what you do affects other people. Like that's a really important thing in networking is understanding that and understanding what people are going through, even though you might not understand it, and just not taking that personally. Being intellectually curious, like learning, asking questions, like being genuinely curious, being proactive, like not just waiting for things to happen, but like taking the initiative to make things happen for yourself. Being authentic and vulnerable, like just really important to have that as traits to be able to be willing to be vulnerable and be yourself. And again, understanding how to do that in the right ways to navigate politics, within corporate America. And then just being able to be versatile and adaptable. Like a lot of times in my line of work, I'm put into situations where I have to be on the fly about things and I have to be able to I don't have any preparation. And so you just have to be willing to be uncomfortable, be able to, spitfire things and have your brain work to where it's able to think fast and be able to come up with ideas and solutions in the moment. That takes time and stuff like that, but learning how to develop that skill set is really important.
Sure. Man, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and blowing some minds this morning with the knowledge and the detail and also touching some hearts, right? And showing that empathetic side, that understanding side, that it's not all just dollars and cents when it comes to making a sale. It is about connection. It is about relationships, and those relationships can continue to produce, right? I think one thing we need to add is that these relationships and these sales are not one and done, right?
Yeah.
You build this relationship and it can keep producing for both of you in ways as not only in the business, but as this person moves to that company or goes here or has this opportunity. I remember when I used to talk to, Chad, when I used to work at whatchamacallit, that guy really knows what he's talking about, man. We should bring him over here to what I'm doing over here, I just can't thank you enough, man, for being here this morning. And I really appreciate you.
No, thank you. Thanks for all you're doing. And I was excited to catch up and can't wait to talk to you more.
All right, man. We got to do this again.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Take care, man.